Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today's going to be a fairly short video. I'm getting ready to go to a big show and stuff and volunteer. So anyway, our last video was about flashlights, vintage flashlights. And so anyway, you know, there's lots of different brands like we showed, and certain companies made a lot of other things besides flashlights. And so this is an ash flash, which were made in Hong Kong. And this is a 60s flashlight. And the thing that's interesting about them is, you know, they made, like I say, lots of other things. And one of them is lanterns. These came out in the mid-60s. They sold off the last of the parts about 1980. And it looks like an exact copy of a Coleman, but it isn't. It's a copy of an American gas machine, or an AGM lantern. Okay, well, here's an AGM lantern, double lantern, just like this one. Hoods are different and stuff, but this is a lot older lantern here. But anyway, like I say, you'll find you got flashlights, and they made lanterns. They also made stoves. And yeah, like I was saying, you know, hobbies are intertwined. So the main thing they made were flashlights, and then they made the lanterns. This is an AGM here, which this was a copy of. The ash flash here, but here's a nice original ash flash brochure. Came with a lantern here, and it shows all the part numbers and how to operate it and repair it and clean it. So anyway, the one thing that Ash Flash did besides these two items, they were a big supplier of bicycle lights and accessories. So look what we have here. Be right back. Well, here's a real unique piece, new in the box. What it is, it's a bicycle headlight, and for the tail light it has turn signals. There's a switch on here that controls it. Here's another picture of it there. Pretty neat to find one new in the original box. So anyway, you can see that the light works. The turn signal is going to be hard to see in the sun here, but anyway, there again talking about how one hobby ties into another. So if you have a vintage bicycle light, guess what you need? You're right, a vintage bicycle. This was AMF, American Machine and Foundry. Makes all kinds of stuff. This is a late 50s, early 60s bicycle. It's a middleweight. Got 1 3/4 by 26-inch tires on it. It's a single speed rear end. These were kind of the lost leader bicycles, you know, for stores. The Montgomery Wards and Sears and all of them sold stuff like this with different names on them. This is Roadmaster, and up here says Skyrider. But what they would do, this is really a deluxe version of a low-end bicycle. It's got a rack, and it's got the nice chain guard here, white wall tires, and stringers, and it's got a Delta headlight on here. And so anyway, we'll put this on here, but here's how they cut costs on these things. This seat here is very thinly padded and very cheaply built. It's the same exact one that they used on tricycles. You know, and if you moved up on the line, you get a whole lot better seat. But like I say, they were trying to take a low-end bike and really doll it out, so it's got the tank and headlight and the rack and as much stuff as you could put on a low-end bicycle, just about as you could get. So anyway, I wanted to talk briefly about, this is, like I say, AMF, American Machine and Foundry. This bike is called a Roadmaster brand, which was a major player in the bike field. They made some of the most ornate and great looking balloon tire bikes that were ever made. But I'm going to just talk briefly about how that one hobby ties into another one. So AMF manufactured all kinds of stuff, and one of the big players they had were garden tractors. I don't have one, but if you ever collect vintage garden tractors, they made a huge variety of them. And what they also did, to a lesser degree, is oh look, a Boland's AMF chainsaw. So anyway, that's how all the hobbies tie together, so that way basically you can have an excuse for collecting everything and anything. You know, you start out with a flashlight, and you go to a lantern, and you go to a bicycle, and bicycle lights, chainsaws, lots of good stuff. So anyway, what we'll do is talk a little bit of reference on some of this other stuff. Yeah, there's a, like I say, a big variety of stuff to collect. These all have tie-ins together. And vintage bicycles are another one. Here's some of the books that were on them. Here's one on Schwinn, excellent book. And these are copies out of old catalogs, and they talk about, they show the ads, and they talk about the models and the accessories and stuff like that. And in this one, there's an ad for the bicycle we had just had out here. This was named a different name because it was sold by a chain store. But anyway, we'll talk about the things here that, like I say, they all tie together. So anyway, what we'll do is we'll put the light on the bicycle here, and we'll come back in the evening and try it out. Well, I found another fine ash flash device here in my fine pile of crapola. This has a headband on it and a battery pack, and it's got a little rotary switch right here. And when I was young, my grandparents had a big garden, and my uncle that I used to work for had a big garden and whatnot. And the area they had what was called water rights, and so there was ditches and canals everywhere, and so if you were signed up in it, you would be designated a time where the water would come. And so a lot of times it was at night, and so we used to use headlamps like these. Ash flash here is kind of a interesting stuff. It was kind of a secondary market, and they would copy high quality stuff and make it a lot cheaper, and people think, hey, yeah, that's a really good deal, I'll buy it. So anyway, the original ones of these had a nice band on them that was flexible and also would wick the sweat off. It had a cotton line on it, and this is just woven plastic, so it'd be uncomfortable and make you sweat. And the thing that on this stuff, it's easy to find stuff like this. It's basically new old stock, and the reason for that, they had really bad quality control, and a lot of the stuff just doesn't work. So this one has got a dead short in it, so I'll have to take it apart and I have to take out the rivets and stuff to fix it. So anyway, I'll be right back. Well, here's my ash flash collection, and what do I think of it? Well, I've nicknamed it Ash Trash, because it's really cheap stuff. Some of it works pretty good, some not so. So this lantern, like I say, is a copy of an AGM lantern. It seems to be reasonably well made. This light here is really cheesy. The flashlight's cheesy, but works just fine. Like I say, it was for a secondary market. And then here's the bicycle light, which we have right here. And I'm going to take it for a ride here after we finish the video, so don't forget to watch it. But anyway, it's all mounted and works, stuff like that. But you can see how flimso that is. So if you're out riding around, it's going to be vibrating and stuff. And on the bracket on the back, there's a little spot that's a little bit open. I think I'll make something to stick in there to brace it up a little bit. But like I say, their market for them was second market, you know, cheap, you know, hardware stores and whatnot like that. Now, this little light here is a Delta Hawk, and it was made in the US. And even though it's extremely simple and cheesy, it's really much better made than this stuff. So anyway, so remember my motto: vintage is best. This stuff is second best. So we'll see you on the next exciting video. As soon as the sun goes down, we'll take a cruise on our fine bike here. See you soon.